Well, basically, the difference is that, of course, with the regular election, you have a period of members of parliament. They are elected for a period of 4 years. And on the normal circumstances, then we will have the opportunity to anticipate in a timely manner and start with the preparations for the elections. Now, in a snap election, you do not have that luxury of anticipating long from before and start, with the preparations. However, you do have an electoral ordinance, the timelines that are incorporated by law that you have to, minimally, that you have to abide with.
Now, there's a lot of discussion over the Constitution in terms of Article 59. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, the voting ordinance. And some people are saying they have to change, but I listen to some professionals, lawyers, say that there's no problem with the Constitution and there's no problem with the ordinance.
Yeah. So you do have indeed some persons indeed that share that opinion. You have other people that have a totally different opinion. Now, Article 59 of the Constitution, Paragraph 1, it gives the Council of Ministers the opportunity or the tool, so to speak, to dissolve Parliament if they so wish. And in Paragraph 2 of that very same article, it indicates that you have the obligation that once you decide to dissolve Parliament, the obligation is for the newly elected Parliament to come together within a period of 3 months. So now, the whole discussion that we've been having here on the island for the last two weeks, so to speak, is that the 3 months, the period of 3 months, when does that go into effect? Now, if you do that, if it goes into effect at the period of the national decree, then you will not comply with the terms, the timelines that are incorporated in the electoral ordinance. So you have the whole discussion, what goes first, the timeline in the electoral ordinance or the Constitution, Article 2. So there's a whole discussion about that. Now, there are a group of people, and which indicates, well, you know what? The timeline actually, you begin to count the 3 months as of the moment of the date of the national decree to dissolve Parliament. So in this particular situation, then it would have been September 23rd, and 3 months later, we will be then at December 23rd. Now, if you do that, you will not basically be able to take the time frame that are incorporated in the electoral ordinance into consideration. But there are also persons that say, well, you know what, that national decree, the 3 months begin to count as of the moment of the implementation of the national decree. And you can actually put the implementation of the national decree at a later period, which will actually allow you to comply with the terms in the electoral ordinance as well as the national ordinance for registration and financing of political parties. And I happen to subscribe to that latter thought where you can implement it later. And that was the whole discussion between parties because, of course, we had the discussion as to if you do that with the 3 months period as of the moment of the national decree, which was September 23rd, with a nomination day, postulation day of October 2nd, that's just like 7 + 2, 9 days later on, that will exclude parties, new parties that would like to participate in the election, that will exclude them from participating in those in that election, as well as existing parties that have been deregistered, that would also preclude them from participating in the election. Now, the whole discussion then is between Article 59, which you say, okay, the Constitution is stated in the Constitution that Article 59 will trump the laws in the electoral ordinance because those are of a lower hierarchical order. However, the right to elect and to be elected, so to postulate yourself, is also a constitutional right, which is in Article 23 of our Constitution. So which one weighs heavier? As a matter of fact, that right to elect and to be elected, so to postulate yourself, is also incorporated in international conventions, so that weighs heavier. I happen to believe the laws in the electoral ordinance, which I do agree the Constitution is a higher order than that. However, I believe they complement what is regulated in the Constitution because The right to elect and to be elected is complemented by the laws, the electoral ordinance, which actually prescribe that you should be able to organize free, open, transparent, and orderly elections, which have a specific time frame. Just to give an example, Mr. Gibbs, one of those laws states that the time frame is that the period between postulation day and also election day, there should be a minimum of 48 days, right? So you ask yourself, why did the legislator actually indicated that there should be that minimum of 48 days? It's because of three things. You should provide political parties with the opportunity to be able to spread their message to the public, what they stand for. Mm-hmm. Secondly, you should also provide the voter with the opportunity to be able to reflect on the different messages from the various parties and decide who they would want to vote for. And also the third point is, of course, for the Central Voting Bureau to be able to organize orderly elections. And one of the things that also I find very important too is in terms of the time frame and the period between the national decree and the postulation day. Postulating yourself is a very important decision. You are making a decision to say, you know what, I am going to postulate myself in order to serve in the highest body, the legislative body, so to speak, Parliament. That's not a 1, 2, 3 decision. You have to make a well-balanced and educated decision. So it should not be rushed into as well.